Chuck, you're gonna have to do it this week. You have to do it. I'm very sick. I can't. If I try to do it, I'm just gonna end up coughing and coughing. So I'm gonna need you to raise one hand to the sky in the traditional Rage Select salute and welcome everybody to the podcast. What do you think? Do you think you got?
I walked to my own drum, sir. So
Okay.
everyone, welcome to the Rage Select podcast with me, John Sitton,
There you go.
and Jeff.
I'm also John
Here.
Sitton. It's double Johns for your bonbons this week on the Rage Select podcast. Yep, that's right. I am still sick. There's a lot of videos. In fact, I think that this week probably represents there was always the possibility that I could get sick, like deathly can't talk sick on the day when all the recordings had to happen.
Yeah.
And that happened this week.
Yeah.
And it followed me far enough that we're only going to have 2 Patreon videos this week. And I'm
Yeah.
going to make it up next week because and I'm not even on one of them. I'm on less than half the videos that are coming out this week because, I just managed to get this cough under control to the point where I can speak. I was supposed to record 3 videos on Thursday with somebody, and we started the first one, and every 5 seconds, I just, which I shouldn't even pretend to do.
Yeah, no, I've been there.
So anyway, I'm hoping that I can get through a normal podcast. I've got a lot of cough suppressant in me right now. I've got a cough drop, I got cough suppressant, but I'm still here. No illness. Reports of the usurpation of my authority have been greatly exaggerated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, how's it going, John?
It's pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We're recording this real late.
Yeah, it's Saturday.
Yeah. Usually we do Thursday.
Yeah. I was not the person he was supposed to be recording with on Thursday, by the way.
That's correct. That is correct. Yeah, so what have you been up to recently? Did you see Thor Ragnarok yet?
No.
God damn it.
You want to know what I did do, though?
Tell me.
I bought the Blu-ray.
But you didn't watch it?
No, I'm never going to watch it. This is going to be one of those I'm doing it to spite you.
Which was the other movie? Was it Taken or whatever?
Oh, no, Children of Men.
Children of Men. There you go.
I own that movie and never seen it.
God damn it.
No. I'm joking. I'm going to watch it. I honestly have not had time to we went to on Tuesday, I think it was after work, we went to Best Buy and bought a bunch of deep Blu-rays. We haven't watched any of them. We bought Shape of Water and
cool.
Thor Ragnarok, and then Amanda's gearing up for this year's countdown to Halloween movie marathon. So she's trying to. She's already got her list.
Mm-hmm.
Completely different list than last year. And instead of 100 movies, it's 125 movies.
Jesus Lord.
And I think we own...
It's 4 months before... You start in April?
Probably.
Good God.
I think we own 60 some odd, the high 60s area of the movies on the list.
Yeah.
And then if you include movies that are streaming as of right now, because that could always change.
Sure.
I think we're about 76 movies. Mm-hmm. We have a total of 76 of the movies.
Yeah.
So we're not there, but we got a lot of the early ones already. And every now and then we go to Best Buy or we go to Fry's or look on Amazon for cheap prices of some of these that we don't have. And we'll just pick up a couple here and there. And I think we picked up 4 movies as well, and we haven't watched anything. The only thing we watched is yesterday was released a documentary called Muppet Guys Talking.
Okay.
Which is basically the original Muppet crew, obviously not Jim Henson, but it's Frank Oz, Dave Golas, a few of the others whose names are just suddenly blanking on me. It apparently screened at South by Southwest last year.
Okay.
And got rave reviews, and then now they just released it on Friday, and they released it digitally online, and so I bought that because Amanda's a huge Muppet fan. I'm a huge Muppet fan.
So if I understand correctly, the answer to my question of what have you been up to? You've been up to buying movies but not watching any of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. Well, the other problem is that a lot of the movies and TV shows and stuff that I want to watch, I want to watch with Amanda. But Amanda's schedule this week has been all over the fucking place.
That's true.
Because her job has having her work days one day, then a night shift, then a day off, then another night shift, then a day off, and then she's working today, and then so I typically, if I want to watch one of those shows that we're supposed to watch together, I have to wait.
Yeah.
And while she is not as big on seeing Thor Ragnarok as I am. She has stated that she wants to watch it, you know, because you keep hounding her. Because you hound everyone.
Everyone must watch Thor Ragnarok.
So, but she definitely wants to watch it, especially before the Infinity War comes out. So that's kind of a big thing. So we're going to get to it.
Okay.
It's just we time is not on our side.
Well, speaking of Infinity War, we have a new Infinity War trailer that came out this week that probably is, I'd say probably the best one that I've seen so far. Like it's actually got like dialogue and stuff in it. It's not just a bunch of like, hey, look, Avengers and shit. I don't know. I'm strangely like I'm gonna go watch it.
Oh, of course,
I'm gonna go watch it. But I'm just starting to get. I mean, the fact that I saw Black Panther like a week ago, and then like in what 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the Infinity War is coming out. I'm just like, oh, hachi machi, man.
Yeah, apparently you can already buy your tickets for it.
Yeah. I got to tell you though, the one part of this trailer that I liked was watching Star-Lord give Tony Stark crap.
Yeah.
Because but I do have to say that I feel like between that and the scene with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man at the end, that if you're one of those people who saw like The Last Jedi and you're like, oh man, it's that fucking Marvel humor again, maybe you don't watch Infinity War because it feels like this is going to have just a shitload of that Marvel
of course.
humor in it.
So I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
Just based on the trailer, your opinion. They've stated characters will die.
Sure.
I'm not saying tell me which ones. How many? Because obviously saying which ones could constitute as a spoiler, even though we have no fucking clue.
I mean, like, how many Avengers are we even dealing with here?
26?
26? I'm going to go with, like, 4.
Yeah.
Not Thor. 4.
Okay,
1, 2, 3, 4. If I had to say who...
Yeah, I just didn't want to say who because I know some people consider even speculation spoilers now. So I just wanted to say, you know...
there's a group I hate to say it, but like I feel like no, you know what I have in my mind. I think I know. Anyway, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks good.
I'm just getting a little bit. I'm getting worn out of just like
I just need one scene because they do show the scene in the trailer with Captain America and Thanos kind of like going at each other. I just need that one scene from the comics. It's been kind of going around since the trailer popped up.
Yeah,
which is where basically Captain America looks at him and goes, you know, he's like, as long as one man, you know, refuses to bow down to you and stands up to you, you'll never win. And then Thanos just looks at him and goes, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
You know, that scene just be so fucking... I mean, I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember the exact lines, but it's such a good like scene from the comics.
Okay.
And I just want it in the movie so bad.
I mean, it sounds like the sort of thing that would be in a Marvel movie. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's looking good. I guess we'll find out pretty soon. I'll tell you what else, though. Speaking of Marvel properties, I watched Jessica Jones Season 2 last week.
That's one of the series I have to wait.
Why is that?
Because Amanda wants to watch it.
Oh, okay. Well, no spoilers or anything. Obviously, we don't do that here on Rage Select. But I think I finally figured out the problem with the Marvel Netflix series. I think it's villains. I don't think they've had a good villain. I think that season 1 of Daredevil had a really good villain in Wilson Fisk, and I think that season 1 of Jessica Jones had a really good villain in Kilgrave. I don't feel like any of the villains since then have been very good. I didn't think the Diamondback and Luke Cage was very good. I didn't feel that either the Hand or the Punisher was okay in Daredevil season 2. I liked him less than a lot of other people, but like the Hand in Iron Fist and then the Hand in the Defenders, like I feel like they just have had a problem with really strong baddies, and that Jessica Jones season 2 does that same thing where it's like I feel like the quotey fingers bad guy is so much less interesting than Kilgrave was.
Okay.
But then I went back and read the Alias comics, and like it's not exactly like Jessica Jones has a huge rogues gallery. You know, they kind of blew the Kilgrave load at the beginning. They're in the first season.
Yeah.
And
have you been reading the new Jessica Jones stuff since I guess the second volume, just the book Jessica Jones that has been coming out?
Mm-mm.
Oh man, it's just as good because it's Bendis and it's the same team.
Yeah,
it's Bendis and Gatiss, so it's also just as good.
I feel like the show, like Netflix, they keep like leaning into these really extended side character stories.
Yeah.
So in this one, the Carrie-Ann Moss, the lawyer Jerry from she was also in Defenders. Hogarth. Yeah, like she's got this huge arc that I really couldn't care less about, and her friend Trish, who's Hellcat in the comics, has this huge arc that I could kind of care less about, and so I don't know. It wasn't bad, and again, I stick to my guns about. It's not like I went out and bought a DVD set. It's not like I had to wait every week to see where this thing was going. I just watched it on Netflix.
Yeah. And
I could choose to, half watch it and half pay attention, which is what I kind of ended up doing. And so it was okay, but I feel like it was about on par with, say, like The Punisher or Luke Cage or things like that. It was definitely not as good as the first season of Jessica Jones was my favorite by far of all of the Marvel Netflix things. And so I just feel like this didn't really measure up quite as well. But maybe the people at home, maybe they thought it was way better. They can explain to me.
I tend to when people tend to hate on the Netflix shows, I tend to be less like I tend to actually like them more than other people. I do agree that the second season of Daredevil was a bit weaker than the first. And I don't have the issues with Luke Cage that you have. Yeah. Like I totally understand your issues with it.
Sure, yeah.
But Iron Fist, I like that show, like, in spite of its issues. Like, its issues infuriate me to no end.
Yeah.
But there's a decent show buried under all the bullshit that every now and then you see a glimmer of it. Which kind of makes me go, well, as long as they get a different showrunner for the second season, maybe it'll be good.
Yeah.
If there's even going to be a second season.
I kind of wish that season 2 of Jessica Jones had gone to Alias territory, like that arc in the original Alias where she's set up to photograph the cheating husband. It turns out that it's Captain America, who's I guess his identity is pretty well known in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
But like stuff like that, if they had more of that, she's investigating weird shit, and then like maybe bring some of the huge number of characters into this.
That's part of the problem is that because they're so because they're part of the movie continuity but not part of the movie continuity,
right?
They can't use any of those characters that are in the movies, and also their use of what characters they are able to use is limited because they want to leave those characters for future movies or future TV shows,
right,
or whatever. So it's kind of like you can't have Rick Jones suddenly show up and then like her investigate to turn out that the guy that she's talking to is not actually Rick Jones, and weird shit's going on with that.
I hate Rick Jones so much. He's such a wang, man. I guess he was all right in that Captain Marvel where the Captain Marvel that he was hooked up to was kind of like a weird
Marvel
spaced out serial killer god of whatever.
But yeah, so I mean, like even like there's stuff in the new stuff that Bendis did before he left Marvel Comics for DC.
Yeah,
that he was doing in the new volume of Jessica Jones. That the first couple issues kind of made me a little hesitant because it's really weird because her character grew a lot because she didn't have a series. She was appearing in New Avengers and other stuff because she's married to Luke Cage in the comics, and like her character had grown in this interesting way. And then like it starts up anew and it like puts her right back to where she was, like at the beginning of like just what life is shit, everything's bad, and it's just kind of like, well, she was happy and had a kid, and what the fuck, and then once it actually got into what the reason for all that was, which was part of the mystery of the new series, it was actually like, oh, okay, that's actually kind of interesting, and then kind of going from there, like I kind of want to see that because. Part of the reason I like the new series is the dynamic of her and Luke Cage being a married couple with a daughter.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting and really interesting topic that's not touched on and obviously in any of the movies and TV shows. But it's clear they don't want to, or at least they want to keep Jessica Jones and Luke Cage separate for right now and as far as in the Netflix stuff.
Yep.
If maybe forever. Which fine, that's fine, whatever. But I kind of hope that because there's a lot of stuff that goes on in that book that I thought it's really good for that kind of television.
Yep.
That I think would be really well done.
Could have been really way more interesting. Okay, speaking of things that are really interesting, our first game news this week comes from Electronic Arts, who cannot stop fucking up. or maybe you all can decide whether they're fucking up or not. So EA announced some new changes to Battlefront 2. Surprising absolutely no one, because
they said they were going to do it.
They said they were going to do it. They've announced what those changes are. So loot boxes, they got turned off back in, like December or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't buy the currency to buy the loot box. You can still earn them, but you couldn't buy them or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
they shut off microtransactions.
They shut off the microtransactions. So on, what is this? March 21st. March 21st, they're basically going to be revamping the whole thing to make it into a progression unlock system, so that as you play the game, it unlocks new heroes, new things, new star cards, powers, blah, 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 blah. So the whole economy is being reduced to essentially a linear progression a la, say, Call of Duty, right?
Or the first Battlefield.
Yeah, sure. And so that, okay, fine, whatever. That's an acceptable solution.
Yeah.
It's the other part of this that gets to be a little hinky, and that is that coming in later in April, you are going to be able to put money into the game in the form of microtransactions to buy cosmetics.
Yes.
For your characters.
Yes.
For hero characters, for emotes, and skins and things like that.
Yeah.
Which is a normal thing, except that like 1 month ago, they were like, well, we can't have microtransactions for cosmetic items. I mean, what? People want a pink Darth Vader? That's just really going to fuck with the continuity if we let people change the way that these iconic characters look. Like, they had a press release where they said those words, and now they're like, and then that, which unfortunately just... I mean, I don't know. Is there anybody out there who's still just like, I still believe in you, EA? You're not liars who want all of our money? I mean, obviously, most video game companies are liars who want all of our money, but like, to so explicitly throw that kind of microtransaction into the face, to go out on record of saying, well, we can't do that because that's stupid, and then 2 months later, that's
well,
the exact thing
I don't think. In all honesty, I think it's a half hypocritical statement.
Okay.
Because I don't think they're going to allow you to do Darth Vader in pink with these cosmetic updates.
Sure.
What it'll be a battle damage Darth Vader.
Sure.
Or some variation on Darth Vader's costume. But it's all going to be stuff that's approved by Disney's, LucasArts people.
Right.
That is in, like, your Luke Skywalker you'll have Luke's costume from, Empire, Luke's costume from Return of the Jedi, Luke's costume from A New Hope, Luke's costume from, The Last Jedi, Luke's costume from, some random shit that's out there that's now in continuity.
Right. And the thing is, I guess what irritates me about it is that the pink Darth Vader thing was their example.
Yeah. They
were like, well, we can't do cosmetics. I mean, what? You're going to have a pink Darth Vader? And everyone's just like, well, no. How about battle damage Darth Vader? How about, The Last Jedi Luke Skywalker? How about all the things that you just said? And not you're just going to make up, well, we can't just have Boba Fett with a giant dong coming off the top of his helmet. It's like, dude, nobody's asking for that.
Everyone's asking for it, Jeff.
I mean, I'm asking for it. That's true. I am asking for it.
You don't know how many emails I've sent to EA for that.
Yes.
Seriously, I've set up my computer to just send an email every 5 seconds.
Okay.
It's been running since December.
Dear Bobby Kotick,
please allow Boba Fett to have a dong on his helmet.
Dong helmet, Boba Fett. Yep. Anyway, it's weird because this is, again, we have to come back and ask ourselves, is this too little too late? Like, to anybody who didn't buy the game on principle based on the microtransactions?
I'm still not going to buy it.
I mean, because the single-player campaign, I keep saying this, and I feel like...
Broken record?
Yeah, a little bit, but that's just Jeff. The single-player campaign is garbage.
Yeah.
Like, it's a terrible story, and there's no reason to play it more than once, if that, right?
Yeah.
So that part's right out. And then you've got the multiplayer part, which I guess will be kind of quotey fingers fixed. But then if they're going to be doing this, are they still going to be offering all the free DLC that they said they were going to offer? Because the The loot boxes were there to offset the cost of what a season pass would have been for those things.
Yeah.
Are the new cosmetic loot boxes going to basically fund all of the DLC expansions, or is the reduction in the amount of money that they're able to extort out of people who bought a $60 game going to have to curtail those plans so that there's less DLC, which would then give the game less legs going forward and not more? I don't know the answer to that. All I know is that it appears that they've mishandled Battlefront 2 about as badly as you can mishandle.
Well, I mean, my reaction to this is, hey, they told us they were going to do this. Like, it's not like, we shouldn't be surprised, first of all, because they told us. We knew it was coming. I know some people had hoped that maybe they would just, forget about it, but it's EA. Mm-hmm. They're not going to forget about it. And, if the people who still play Battlefront 2, who are still playing it, if this is something that they feel okay with, then
go buy Overwatch. Oh, wait,
it's fine, whatever. I don't care. I'm not going to go buy it. I kind of checked out of that a long time ago, so
it's kind of amazing that after, because this was the first Star Wars video, or Battlefront was the first. Battlefront 2 represented I think the first single player Star Wars game that we saw since Connect Star Wars, on the 360, and my God, they fucked it up in just. It's kind of amazing. Like, Star Wars is easy because you got so many people that love Star Wars, right? Like, if you but boy howdy. Speaking of which, there was a second story that came out this week about Star Wars. I don't know if you saw this, John. It was a bunch of concept art. That was dumped from basically the early planning stages of Star Wars or Battlefront 4, the new what is Battlefront 2, that shows a lot of alternate timeline stuff. So you've got
Darth, Obi-Wan Kenobi,
Dark Obi-Wan, both young and old. You've got a lot of there's light side Grievous, Jedi Dooku, Emperor Vader. There's a lot of both Jedi good and bad Leia in here. There's a big kind of imager dump that you can look through that has a lot of the stuff. Light side Asajj Ventress. And it looks like it was kind of based on an alternate history of the Emperor comes out as evil right away, and then attacks. Evil Chewbacca attacks right away, and then that kind of throws off the entire history. Light side Darth Maul throws off the entire history of the franchise. So you essentially have a gigantic what if where you take.
And I think that shit's kind of fun.
This looks amazing. This looks so much better than ooh, she's an Imperial operative. I don't have any problem with lady characters. It's just that ooh, she's an Imperial operative who believes in the Empire. What'll she do now? Oh, she's turning the light side. And half the missions in this game are just fan service wanks of bad beard Han Solo and Princess Leia and Lando and shit. This looks so much more interesting than that. That it just, I don't know. It makes me sad that we couldn't have seen something, because this just looks way creative. I don't know. Did you get a chance to take a look at this?
I didn't really look at a lot of it, but yeah, no, I agree. It's some interesting stuff. I totally get why it didn't happen.
Yeah,
but
evil Sith Windu.
Yeah,
Sith Mace Windu.
Because I feel like since Disney kind of took over, they're kind of not. They want to shy away from those sort of things. Mm-hmm. I feel like pre-Disney LucasArts would totally have been for this.
Yeah.
And totally willing to go down these roads. But since, because for example, the fucking Star Wars Force Unleashed.
Mm-hmm. The DLC for it as well. That was just the continuation of the dark side kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I feel like pre-Disney LucasArts totally would have been for something like this, or at least would have entertained the idea. I feel like they probably created a bunch of concepts, took it to Disney, and Disney went no.
Yeah. Which sucks, because this looks so much more interesting than what we got out of the single player. I would have thought that a single player campaign where you're playing as Star Wars characters, but kind of flipped, where the bad guys are the good guys, the good guys are the bad guys, and everything's topsy-turvy, that could have been really cool. Could have been really, really interesting.
Or even where some characters are different, some characters may be the same, some characters maybe just slightly different. That's.
I think there was a whole kind of concept in there about Anakin Skywalker, like redeemed Anakin Skywalker, like on a quest to turn Sith Lord Luke Skywalker back from the dark side, kind of in a reversal of what happened at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. Like, I'd watch that anime. I'd read that comic book. Like,
Yeah.
So, and it could have been cool because it also could have then explained in some of the multiplayer stuff ways that they could have remixed some things and done things a little bit differently. But
yeah.
I don't know. Alas, we probably will never, this is just one of those things where you got to go, nope. All right, bye. I have no transition. I have no segue.
That's fine. You don't have to have a transition or segue to every news item.
I do. It's my life goal. Someday I'm going to have a perfect podcast where every transition is just fucking dynamite gold. And that day is the day that I retire from this forever. Evo is coming up.
Yes.
And apparently Dragon Ball Fighter Z is it Fighter Z or is it Fighters?
The publishers come out and said it's Fighters.
Okay.
Dragon Ball Fighters. But yeah, it's that is the official pronunciation of it according to Bandai.
Okay. Dragon Ball Fighters is apparently the most popular game for Evo this year, where people are signing up in droves to play this new game. I really feel bad because I haven't had a chance to really dive into that game.
I keep meaning to go buy it, but I keep not having money.
You keep just buying because you're buying horror movies and Blu-rays.
No, I've actually been saving my money. Like we've got Amanda and I've got a trip later on this year that we're going to take that I'm trying to save money for.
Okay.
So like I kind of give myself a little bit of money here to spend on whatever, and buying 2 Blu-rays for $20 total myself, because I only spent like $20.
Yeah.
Is easier to do than going to spend $60 on a video game.
Okay. But that's interesting. I think that's interesting considering I feel like over the years, Street Fighter has probably been the top of the rank.
Yeah.
Or Smash sometimes.
Street Fighter's kind of been the big one though.
Yeah. I didn't know. I haven't really looked into it, so I don't know how technical Fighter Z is. When we were playing it, it felt like just a huge Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom. The screen's full of fire and Goku's doing a thing, and now you're flying out of the sky and everything is blowing up. Like it was really chaotic when we were playing it. But I guess I've watched some of the tourney stuff for some of the other Arc System Works, Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue and stuff like that. And it always seems like the Persona fighting game, Arena Ultimax. It always just seems like very kind of difficult to even follow what's going on. But yep. Currently the rankings are Dragon Ball Fighter Z, Street Fighter V, Tekken 7, Smash Brothers Melee, Smash Brothers Wii U, Blaze Blue, Cross Tag Battle, Guilty Gear Zerd Rev 2, and Injustice 2. Which is good. Yeah. It's like watching Tournament Injustice 2. It's always feel like they're just shoved off in a corner by themselves. Just be like, all right, you nerds, just you get this out of the way. We're all going to be over here playing Street Fighter. But I like watching high-level Injustice play. So.
I like watching all high-level play, truthfully.
Yeah. Speaking of Evo, here's a pro tip for you. Here's a pro tip that doesn't even have anything to do with Evo. Maybe don't go on people's Twitch streams and say that or imply that you might go be shooting up a thing, anything, a Dairy Queen, but especially probably not Evo, which is what happened. As let's see, this one of the event organizers, somebody was doing their Twitch stream, and basically one of the messages that flew through was from another user, said mass shooting at Evo 18, see you there. And that was like, no, now you gotta get your name given over. You're gonna get a call from the FBI, and they're gonna be asking you some really pointed questions. So maybe don't be a jerk off in the Twitch chat. I don't know. I am the first person though to say that, right? Is that nobody in the history of the internet has ever said don't be a jerk off in the chat room. That's a brand new concept that I just invented, right?
Well, I think the sentiment has been presented before, but I don't think the words "don't be a jerk off" have ever been said.
Okay, there you go.
I think there have been "don't be a douche," "don't be a dirtbag,"
right?
"Don't be a ball sack. Don't be a.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much everything but jerk off.
Yeah, I think jerk off was. I think that one's you.
Okay, that one's us.
That's all you.
That's all us. It's all me. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. Don't. Just don't. I don't understand why. Why would you? Just don't. Speaking of things just to not do, things just don't do it. Don't. I don't understand. Don't do it. Sonic. We're South by Southwest.
Don't do Sonic?
Don't do Sonic. South by Southwest is actually happening right now.
I didn't get to participate in anything.
I feel bad. I got to go to one podcast last week, and that's where I got sick. So now I've been sick through all of music.
If I may ask, what podcast?
It's called The Dollop.
Okay.
You ever heard of that? It's basically like people doing historical. There's two guys. One of them researches historical things that you may or may not know about, and the other person, it basically is just his like friend who just kind of reacts to him telling these insane stories. So the story that they told was, did you know that like in 1908 or whatever, there was a race that was planned from New York to Paris, and they were going to drive over the Bering Strait in the middle of winter when it was frozen, even though that doesn't really happen. But they didn't know that at the time. And so like, imagine like in a bitter winter, like the cars with no windshields, just like Beverly Hillbillies looking cars, just driving through snow at like 1 mile an hour, basically from New York across the entire United States to Alaska. The first team there actually figured out that they couldn't cross the Bering Strait. And so they all got on boats and then went over to Eastern Russia, and then drove through Russia, and then through Europe, and then all the way to Paris in a quotey fingers race. And the stories from it are pretty much insane. They're crazy bonkers, and that was really fun.
They were so insane that Jason, you got sick.
That I got sick. I got sick. They were so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, South by Southwest is happening. Interactive is happening right now, which I tell you what, like Matt sent me a picture where he's at a Bloodstained panel, and I'm just like, that's cool. But I looked over the panels for Interactive, and I'm just like, you and I have gone to Interactive a few times, and it's like, I mean, there's like two things that I want to see there sometimes, and a lot of times it's just a long line to get to a VR game that probably comes out next month anyway. So,
well, it's like now unless you have a South by Southwest badge, which you do, but you have to pay for it now. It's no longer free.
Oh. Well, double boo on that.
Yeah, like last year was the first year that the South by Southwest Interactive Festival stopped being free.
Yeah.
I think it's like $40 for the entire weekend.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was just like,
well, it would have been one thing if in previous years it had been interesting, but
yeah,
it had always just been kind of like, I mean, like I don't. It's not terrible to come here, and I guess now
there was
here,
that one year where you and Jason appeared on a live stream for Geek and Sundry at a South by Southwest festival. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was very confusing, I think, for everybody involved, because I don't think Geek and Sundry had any idea who the fuck we were.
And you guys had no idea why the fuck you were there.
No idea why the fuck we were on Geek and Sundry, so it's just kind of like, I mean, sure, I guess. Anyway, this year there was a Sonic panel, and they announced a couple of things. One of them is a new Sonic racing game.
Yeah, of course. Sonic R.
Yep. And they just showed what they showed, like headlights, and then the logo, and then the R on the logo is lit up.
Yeah.
So if you're into Sonic, the character that runs fast
gets a car that goes faster
in a kart racing game
that goes faster.
Okay. Have you played any of these, John?
No.
Why? Yeah. I mean, like,
here's the funny thing. I don't hate Sonic. I actually played like Sonic Forces, and I actually was like, oh, this isn't actually half bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, I don't see why this game gets as much hate as it does. This is actually a perfectly adequate game for young people who like Sonic.
Yeah.
I love Sonic Mania.
Yeah.
Sonic Mania is fucking greatest 2D fighting, or not fighting, but 2D Sonic game since Sonic 2.
Yeah, I just keep coming back to the idea with Sonic Mania that like the greatest Sonic game since Sonic 2 is basically
side-scrolling.
A pixel side-scrolling game.
I didn't say it was the greatest Sonic game since Sonic 2. I said it's the greatest side-scrolling Sonic game since Sonic 2.
I don't. No, I do hate Sonic.
Yeah,
I know
you
understand.
I know you hate Sonic.
I don't understand why people like Sonic, because I've never seen anything I like in it. Please don't tell me why I should like Sonic, because I've already heard it. But John, you could say things without being mean.
I've honestly never played any of the Sonic racing games, because I play Mario Kart.
Yeah, like a regular person, right? I mean,
yeah. I don't know. Have Sonic appear in fucking Mario Kart. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Well, he's not going to appear in Mario Kart, but they are putting out Sonic Mania as a physical release.
Cool.
And it's going to have a bunch of new stuff in it, including the ability to play as Mighty the Armadillo and Ray the Flying Squirrel. There's going to be a competitive 4-player mode and an encore mode, which hasn't been detailed. I think it's also going to have 32-page art book. So this summer, a physical release of Sonic Mania called Sonic Mania Plus for Switch, Xbox One, PS4.
So what about those people who actually bought the game digitally?
I think that you're just boned. I think you just buy it again. If
fuck you.
I mean, yeah. So
I'm not buying it again. I mean, if it's a DLC thing that I have to pay for, that's fine. I'll do that. That's...
I don't know. Maybe there might be an update to Sonic Mania.
Or if it's something that you just get for free. That's also cool.
Yeah, I guess. No. I'm sorry. I understand what you're saying now because I thought you were asking like, what if I bought the digital copy? Do I get a free copy of like the physical?
Oh,
release?
No.
But I guess the other additional features, I don't know. Yeah, probably some kind of add-on, either that or just straight up free patched into the game.
Yeah,
one of the. It's got to be one of those two.
Yeah,
Sega's too stupid to just be like, fuck off, you buy it again. But yeah, so
you'd think. Though I give Sega the benefit of the doubt because they actually tend to.
They're no Konami, Sega,
they're no Konami, they're no EA.
Yeah.
So
there's some cynical fucks over there, but they're not quite as scumbaggy as some of these other places.
Actually, I feel like Sega's a little bit better because I mean you also got to remember that Sega is willing to let franchises go.
Yeah,
like Shenmue, they're like, yeah, no, totally. If somebody else wants to publish it, that's fine. And
Bayonetta. Yeah.
Someone else, like they are more inclined of if someone else is interested, we would like to see the game succeed. So we don't want to pay for it, but sure. Like Sega is good enough to do that. Where I know other companies that'd be like, no, fuck you, that's our franchise.
Oh, dude, we talked about it.
Capcom,
with Warner Brothers, and No One Lives Forever.
Yeah.
Things like that. But yeah. So anyway, if you're into Sonic, this seems like a pretty good deal. I mean, even if it's $60, like everybody likes Sonic Mania, great. Also, there's a reversible cover that makes it look like the front of a Sega Genesis game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it seems like a pretty good package, all things considered. Especially maybe for the Switch. Like,
I've got Sonic Mania on the Switch. It's great. It's a great Switch game. Like, I fucking love it on the Switch.
Well, then from there, let us go from Sega to Nintendo. Some weird stuff this week on Nintendo. Was this on the Nintendo's Twitter account? Posted basically a cryptic picture.
So I don't know how much you played of Mario Odyssey.
I beat it.
Okay, good. So you know about the cryptic hints that are in the game. Like you'll find pictures on a wall and they're just like they kind of look like those, not exactly like what we're talking about here, but they'll be abstract images. Sometimes it'll just be like here's a Koopa and here's a bush and then it'll be an arrow and then you have to figure out what that means.
No, I don't actually remember
totally
that.
Obtuse, but all of those in the game lead you to moons.
Okay.
That's so everyone saw this thing online and went, oh, it's going to lead us to a new moon.
Right.
That's been undiscovered.
Right. So it's basically a giant pyramid, upside down pyramid pointing at the ground, which there is a giant upside down pyramid in Mario Odyssey. And so people went and ground pounded where that was, and a tiny Luigi came out.
Tiny 8-bit
Luigi, and just pooping out
gold coins. A lot of gold coins for you.
And that was it.
Yeah.
That was pretty much the entirety of it.
Yeah.
At least as near as I could tell.
Yeah, no, that is definitely all that it is. I think the thing, like if you run through it or whatever, I think it does.
It spins around.
Yeah, it spins around. But the thing is about that is that it kind of reveals that maybe in the last update where they added Luigi stuff to it, that there's
more secrets.
There's more secrets that no one's discovered.
Yep. Which is cool. You know what? I've been real happy with the way that Nintendo's been handling themselves recently.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mario Odyssey's a fucking great game.
You know what? I keep saying it, and I'm gonna keep saying it so everybody knows it. I honestly think that the Nintendo Switch has had one of the greatest first launch years of any console that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, and that includes like PS4, Xbox One, 360, PS3. I think any of them have had as many like just straight up in your face like upfront AAA, like
and in some
unequivocally recommended games.
Yeah,
right?
And not only good, but not only good and universally good, but in some cases the best of their franchise.
Yeah,
like it's not only just a good game on the console; it's a launch game, but it's the best version. Because I would argue that Mario, out of the 3D Mario stuff, I would argue this is the best 3D Mario.
See, I can't really tell because I didn't play Sunshine or Galaxy or 64, so
okay,
I have no frame of reference for that. But
yeah, all great games, by the way.
Yeah,
but
so that's the good news. The less good news. This is one that I don't really understand. Where apparently, talking to Netflix, when asked about why Netflix isn't on the Switch yet, this is what their Netflix executive Scott Mirror said. In the case of the Switch, Nintendo, were very focused at launch not on video use cases, but on gaming cases. Video was not a priority for them. Whether that changes over time, we have a great relationship with them and look at the possibility of the Switch. We each have opportunity cost around that, but at some point it might happen. And this
kind of goes against what I had heard.
It's a little strange.
It also could have been what I heard was just rumor and
what did you hear? Let's get that rumor.
Well, it's so the reason why Hulu was on it and Netflix wasn't is because apparently the rumor that I had heard was that Nintendo said if you're going to put your streaming service on our device, you have to let us control the parental controls.
Huh.
Meaning that if a parent sets parental controls on their device, it applies to the application as well. So Hulu, if you set on your the parental controls that Nintendo has set up, Hulu replies to that. And what I had heard is that Netflix said we don't want anyone else controlling the parental controls of our app.
Interesting. Did they have that control on the Wii U version? Because the Wii U had Netflix.
No. Apparently, this is something that they specifically requested for. The rumor is that this is something that specifically, and Hulu was the only one who went, yeah, sure, we don't care.
Well, yeah, because they're Hulu.
Basically, if you had parental control set up on your TV, like one way.
Right.
But you didn't have it set up that way. It didn't matter what your controls were everywhere else.
Right.
Basically, they would have to be exclusively controlled by the Switch.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
I think the way I understood it for Netflix is someone said that if they did that, it would change the parental controls on all devices, and Netflix didn't want that.
Right.
However, Hulu went, yeah, we can set that so it doesn't affect the other, what else you're connecting to, and Netflix went, no, we're not cool with that. That's what I'd heard. Could be wrong. Could be complete, total bullshit. That's the way I understood it. So this is saying something different.
All I know is that it's a bummer that Netflix isn't on the Switch.
Yeah.
Because Switch is a nice little mobile device, and I'd love to be able to just be like, beep, bop, boop.
I like watching. I've watched some stuff on Hulu on it, so it's it's not like it can't be done.
Yep. So you heard it, Netflix. Rage says, fucking get on that shit, man. Like, what are you waiting for? Get off your ass. So back to good news about Nintendo. Bit Trip Runner 3 is coming out on, what is this, March 22nd?
May 22nd?
May 22nd.
It said right there in big, bold letters.
Yeah, no, I'm sick, John. You have to give me all the sympathy.
First words on the screen were coming May 22nd.
You have to make allowances for the fact that I'm not a well man. I love Bit Trip Runner. I'm very excited. A Bit Trip Runner 2, I was so I loved it so much. Can't wait for this new one. It looks pretty insane. Yeah,
it looks like a Bit Trip Runner game to me.
Right.
And now that's not to say that it's the same game. It's just it looks like a Bit Trip Runner game to me.
I really don't understand how Bit Trip Runner is so good and most other runner games are not. I mean, it's because most of them try to be endless runners as opposed to having a very clear stage that is hooked to the music that makes it really satisfying to go through. Because man, I
got to say that's why Mario Run I think really worked on mobile is Mario Run because it was stage, and not endless runner.
Okay,
Mario Go or whatever the hell it was called.
So enough Nintendo. Let's talk about Microsoft. Microsoft has. In years past, we have seen this is E3 news. Yeah. So in years past, who was it? EA last year took their demos out of the EA show floor and put them in their own building where they could control the space and do whatever they wanted to.
Yeah, same with Bethesda.
Right. This year, Microsoft is doing the same.
Yeah.
They're taking the conference and the show floor and their demos to the Microsoft Theater, I believe it's called.
Yeah, it used to be it used to be called something different, which is funny because if I'm not mistaken, it's the same theater that Nintendo used to host their tournaments at.
Okay.
Like the last Smash Brothers tournament.
Sure.
If I'm not mistaken, it's that same theater that Microsoft just bought the building.
It's the Microsoft Theater at LA Live.
Yeah, I think it's now called the Microsoft Theater.
Okay.
I think Microsoft bought it last year or something like that. But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's that same theater. It used to be called the Paramount or something like that.
Okay. And they're going to have their whole conference there, and then that's where they're going to have their stuff. Apparently, they are still maintaining the some of the floor space that they had in the Staples Center, but that is going to be focused almost entirely on Mixer, their Twitch competitor.
Yeah.
Which, Jesus Lord, good luck with that. But I find this to be really interesting. Because you know what, there's actually very little to say that if we see EA and Microsoft and Bethesda and people all moving away from going into the convention center, which is a fucking mess, right? It's just two halls.
Well, now that it's
separated,
open to the public,
right? Yeah, about just doing their own thing. I mean, it's one of those things where I don't know. I think that within 10 years we might see E3, if not go away, be something different, because I just feel like if Microsoft has bought their own event center, again, what's to keep them from doing what Sony does or what Nintendo's doing and just having a bunch of independent events over the course of the year so that all the focus is on what they're announcing instead of having to go to E3 and then fight the coverage of all the things to try to get your thing, your 15-minute segment on IGN, about whatever the new blah, blah, blah thing is. Why not just have a whole week where you're just like, we're going to talk about Sea of Thieves for fucking 7 days and we're going to stream it all the live on day. I think that that's way smarter in today's day and age than this E3.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something about E3 where it's fun to kind of have that mania of just and then this thing, and then this thing, and then look at this, and then look at this. But I almost just feel like I'd rather have a whole week. I'd almost rather have E3 be a month-long thing where it's like a week of Nintendo, and then a week of Microsoft, and then a week of Sony, and then a week of, or half a week of each one of those, and then half a week of EA, and half a week of Bethesda, and half a week of Activision. Because one of the things about E3 is also that you miss so much because you're just trying to cut back and forth between the different channels and see who's showing what and what's the what are they announcing at this conference, and is there is there a developer interview over here? Whereas if everybody could just chill the fuck out and have a just take turns tag teaming E3, I feel like it would be better. I don't know. Any thoughts on your end?
No, you kind of hit all the points that I would have made. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Bethesda announced last week. Did you have any Bethesda predictions for this year?
No.
I'm hoping Doom 2, man. I'm really putting my chips down for Doom 2.
I mean, I'm kind of wondering if they're gonna try to do another Elder Scrolls, like an actual legit Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah,
because they're kind of due.
Oh no, my dark horse candidate. Hexen.
Nice.
Bring back Hexen. I don't know, maybe Rage.
What I will say, what I'm really hoping though, is because they're actually doing this thing where I'm going to go back to the article you're talking about with Microsoft. One thing I really do hope is that because they're going into this large space that's specifically going to be only for them, and they're making a big deal. It's like, yeah, we're going to have playable demos of upcoming games and things like that. They best have a shit ton of exclusives that are coming out this year.
They need some fucking games.
They're coming out this fucking year.
At least holiday this year, if not, early next year at the latest.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, it needs to be these are games that are set to come out fiscal year.
Right. Well, speaking of games that are set to come out this fiscal year, thanks for the best transition ever.
You're welcome.
Last week, State of Decay 2 announced a collector's edition that comes with, let's line it all up, ladies and gentlemen. This is for $70. You're going to get a full-face zombie mask, a steelbook case, a brain that you can put the steelbook case in, a patch, a literal thumb drive with 4 gigabytes, and that's it.
No game.
Yeah. You don't get the game. I feel like this happens once a year.
Yeah, didn't Resident Evil do this?
7?
Yeah, like they had like
yeah. They had the little
the house.
Yeah,
it didn't come with the game.
Yep. And that was back when we were just like, ooh, I don't know about this Resident Evil. But yeah, State of Decay 2 Collector's Edition, $70, doesn't have the fucking game.
Yeah.
Could be bothered to put a copy of the game on that USB key or
Now,
slippy
mind
code
you, someone I was reading a thing where someone did the math, and like if you look at like the standard like collector's editions that come out now that do include games, they're about $100 to $125. Like even if you look like the Modern Warfare like collector's editions that come with like the old ones that came with like the remote control fucking
night vision
drone
goggles
and the night vision goggles, they're about $125.
Yeah.
If you were to buy the game in addition to this, it'd be about $125. It's about the same price if you were if all this, but it is shitty that you're paying $70 for just saying I love this game and not actually getting the game.
Well, the shitty part is not necessarily the shitty part is the fact that they're giving you a steel book case.
Yeah.
Then when you go buy the game later, you can put the game inside of that. And not just the case, but this brain, it's a stand to put the case, to display the case on. And it's just like, oh, geez, guys, that's just a little chintzy.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're running a little bit low on time, so let's jump over. We got some trailers.
What trailers? Let's do trailers.
Kind of crazy announcement today or yesterday, I guess this is the day goes. Shadow of the Tomb Raider. New Tomb Raider game is coming out this year.
Not really a surprise.
No.
You heard about that, right?
Oh, no.
So they put up a thing on their website. It's Square Enix, right? They're still Square Enix.
The publisher, I believe.
Yeah. Square Enix put like a thing that said like, announcement coming tomorrow, kind of thing. And then Kotaku went and hit source on the HTML at the very top in like thing that made in the code said Tomb Raider, whatever the fuck this is, coming out September 14th, 2018, all consoles. And then so Kotaku was like, well, we know what the announcement's going to be.
Oh, wow.
And then like apparently a few hours later they went in and removed that code from the thing and
companies.
Well, it's also that there was the guy on the subway who saw a guy working on a computer, and then like he looked over his shoulder and saw that it was this Tomb Raider game and took a screenshot of it.
Oh, I didn't know.
And put it on like a while back, so we already knew the title of the game.
Oh, okay.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider. We already knew like a lot of this stuff.
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't give a shit about Tomb Raider. So, but it is interesting. You know what? I do. I haven't been the biggest fan. The new Tomb Raider franchise has been okay.
I liked the first one.
Yeah.
The second one kind of lost me about halfway through.
I didn't really ever. It didn't ever hook me in the first place.
I didn't beat it,
but
I got about halfway through it and just stopped playing.
Hey, you know what? I'm fully and completely cool if you want to announce a game on March 14th and then release it. September, 6 months later.
Yeah, no, I'm totally okay with that.
I'm way better with 6 months between release, and then we'll get to see it at E3 and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, totally.
As opposed to just dragging, Death Stranding for 4 fucking years before I get to play it, or whatever that From Software trailer is. Give me more information about stuff. Tired of looking at the other stuff. Anyway, I don't know.
It's a quick trailer. Like it's a flash of stuff. There's no real telling you of what it is.
Yeah.
I think in the announcement for it, they said this is the final part of the Tomb Raider trilogy.
Okay.
Of Lara Croft becoming the Tomb Raider.
Lara.
So in other words,
Lara.
Yeah.
They get mad when you call her Laura.
Really, Lara?
Lara Croft.
Lara.
Yeah.
But anyway, so like the first one, what was the first one? Was that Rise of the Tomb Raider, or was it the second one?
I think it's
the second one. What was the first one?
Dawn of Justice. I don't remember.
Tomb Raider Origins. I don't know.
I don't know. I'll look it up.
But yeah, so like the first one, she's still not.
It was just called Tomb Raider.
Okay, so like Tomb Raider, is the first of like this is the beginning of it. The second one was like, well, she's getting a little bit closer to being Lara Croft that we all know and love, and then this one, by the end of this one, she's supposed to be the Tomb Raider, Lara Croft.
Boo!
It's a trilogy. It was always meant to be a trilogy, even though they couldn't get enough funding for the second one. Then Microsoft had to step in and save it.
Yep.
But not the case this time. It's all coming out for the console, PC, PS4, Xbox One, all at the same time.
Yep. So if you're into Tomb Raider, happy birthday.
I'll probably play this one.
Okay. Sea of Thieves is coming out in a couple of days, and we got a launch trailer that looks pretty good. Nope, that's an ad for God of War. Yeah, I'm still a little split on this one. I want to play it.
I kept missing the beta days.
Yeah.
I know of it, and I'd be like, oh, I got to remember to play it this weekend.
Yeah.
And then by the time the weekend came around, totally forgot about it.
Yeah. We'll have to see how it goes next week. I mean, I am a sucker for pirates. I'm not really a big fan for playing online, but I can make the Rage Slick ship, the SS Dongacles, and I don't know, we could get some salty sea dogs out there and chase a pig, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff.
Anyway, some skeletons.
It seems like everybody's been pretty hyped on what they played. So.
Yeah, a lot of people that I've seen that have played those betas or have actually been like, no, it's actually a lot of fun. So I'm totally, there's a fucking Kraken, Jeff. There's Kraken.
Well, it was released.
Like I am split on it. Like I'm like every time I see a trailer for it, I'm like super excited to play it.
Yeah.
But then I think about it, I'm like, why?
Am I super excited?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you,
also,
John,
I'm excited because it's rare.
Yeah.
And we're finally getting a rare game. After how fucking long?
You may have questions about your level of excitement for Sea of Thieves, but I know you're excited for SoulCalibur 6. And this week, in the history, in the way that SoulCalibur does their SoulCaliburness, Geralt of Rivia is in this game. It makes a certain amount of sense.
Yeah. I loved it because one of the head developers of CD Projekt, like a couple weeks ago or whatever, put out on Twitter, like, what would you guys think if Geralt appeared in other video games?
Uh-huh.
And then, like, didn't add any more than that. And then, like, I saw that tweet and I was like, SoulCalibur. He's in SoulCalibur.
Yeah.
He's got to be in SoulCalibur. I mean, you had, what was it, 2 or was it 3 that was on the GameCube? It was the one with Link, Spawn, and Heihachi. Was that 2? Or was that 3?
No, wait. 3 was that Vader and Yoda?
Was 3 Vader and Yoda?
I don't know.
I thought that was 4.
Was that 4? I don't know.
And then 5 was Ezio, and this is 6.
Yeah. All I know is that Geralt actually looks like he kind of belongs in this universe.
I mean, he has his magic abilities and stuff like that.
The signs. I really need to go back and play the Witcher 3.
I know they got the original voice actor to voice him, so
good.
So it's
he does. His costume looks a little out of place amongst the other stuff, just because it's so much more just kind of like Eastern European. Like he's got the giant fucking Geralt codpiece, right? So I don't know. But it looks good, and this is thing that SoulCalibur does. SoulCalibur 6 looks like it's shaping up to be a good SoulCalibur game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's taking the story back to the time of the first game.
Yeah.
So a lot of the changes that some people didn't like with certain characters, are kind of being rolled back. Like I know people didn't really like what they did with Killick after a while. And so him being back to just the sword, just the bow staff, and not being the weapon master, the new weapon master, has kind of excited some people.
Okay.
I like SoulCalibur. I like the story of SoulCalibur a lot. Like that's I will say, when it comes to fighting games, I'm one of the few people I know that actually likes fighting games for their story. Mm-hmm. And I will find out as much about a story as possible, especially in the really obtuse ones like SoulCalibur and the early Street Fighter and stuff like that. I fucking love looking up lore for that shit.
Cool. Well, speaking of, nope, I don't get anything. Our last trailer this week is
you could have went by lore. Speaking of lore, things with lore.
Hearthstone is putting out a new expansion called the Witchwood, which should basically
I think it's a single player expansion.
The last one, kobolds and.
Or was the last one a single player expansion?
I don't know. I think they might both be. Okay. I didn't actually watch the thing. I don't play Hearthstone. I really just wanted to bring this up because apparently whoever it is that's running Hearthstone likes songs a lot. And this is the third in a row. Kobolds and Candles or whatever had a song trailer.
Yeah.
They had the actual Hearthstone song CGI trailer, and now this one has another song in it. None of the songs are very good. They need to go hire some of them Disney folks to write their songs for them.
Very Disney-esque, though.
They're very Disney-esque, which is why I wish they would just go the full 9 yards and get actual Disney talent in to do it, or someone who could rip off Disney. But apparently, this is set in I forget the land in in World of Warcraft where the werewolves are.
Where the lichens are.
Yeah. And it's called The Witchwood, and I don't know if it's out or if it's coming out, but hey, if you're into Hearthstone, follow Brian Brush1 on Twitter. He plays that shit all the time. So it's funny because I can't get him to play Overwatch for hook or by crook, but the last time I was at his house, his daughter was playing Overwatch, and I'm just like, come on, man.
No, he likes the Hearthstone.
Speaking of Overwatch, we got a release date for, how do you say her name? Brigitte. Okay. I thought that was...
Or Brigitte.
Brigitte, I think is how they said it. March 20th, Brigitte's out on all platforms, so bada bing, bang, boom, you're good to go, which is cool. Few more stories here, then we're going to go ahead and take a break. Apparently Square Enix is hiring a bunch of people to kind of bolster up the Final Fantasy VII Remake team, which makes it...
because what else have they got to release other than this and fucking Kingdom Hearts?
Well, who could say with Square Enix? Re-release of a bad phone port of a game that you liked. I was playing, I got an SNES Classic, and I was playing The Secret of Mana, and I was just like, oh, this is so much better than that fucking remake that they put out. In any case, it seems like they might be a little bit behind on this Final Fantasy VII Remake because they're basically bringing in, it's like the job listing that they were looking for, that includes level planners, battle planners, designers, engineers, and various types of jobs to tackle on the production of the big title. So I get the impression that they're a little bit behind and that this is going to be one of those things that goes on and on and on and on until the PlayStation 5 is coming out and they're like, hey, that Final Fantasy VII remake is finally out. So don't hold your breath.
I look at this in the same way I look at the new Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when it's out.
I have no doubt that it'll come out eventually.
Yeah, no. Same way. Again, that's my point, is the new Kingdom Hearts. I have a feeling it'll come out eventually.
Yeah.
But I'm not holding my breath.
It's just Square Enix ain't like that fucking Tomb Raider announcement where it's announced and then 6 months later it comes out. Unless it's like some kind of fucking...
And also the fact that this Final Fantasy remake is supposed to be a fucking episodic game.
Yeah. Yep. Episode 1 of 2, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, yeah. Blue Point is working on a new game,
nice.
Which normally I wouldn't put in the news of just like a studio that does HD remasters is working on another HD remaster. But they did such a good job with the Shadow of the Colossus remaster. And talking about this, apparently they're looking moving forward to all the artists and the pipelines that they created for the assets of the new assets that were put into Shadow of the Colossus. They want to keep that for whatever their next remake is. And I just wanted to say I absolutely love the idea of a studio that does HD remasters that has an art department to go back in and redo stuff that needs redoing.
Yeah. Whether
it's a full on like this where you redo all the assets by scratch or whether you're just looking at cleaning stuff up. I'm still a little leery. The Devil May Cry HD this week, I mean, it was just the same thing that was on the PlayStation 3.
Burnout Paradise, I heard, it's the same game. There's no HD to it. It's just Burnout Paradise.
I mean, what good is a PlayStation 3 graphics in 4K? Why would I care about looking at those graphics in super high resolution? So I love the idea of Blue Point being able to do stuff like this. I would love it. Love it if they could take something like, I don't know, like Demon Souls or... I've been wanting an HD Metal Gear for a long time, like original Metal Gear Solid, because 2, 3, 4, and 5 and Peace Walker are all in HD, but Metal Gear Solid is still just looks like a PlayStation 1 game.
Can't accept Twin Snakes, huh?
Nope. Well, I accept Twin Snakes for what it is, but Twin Snakes is a different director and it's got a different system to it. And Blue Point did the Metal Gear HD collection, so I don't know. Myst is coming back.
That would also require Konami actually wanting money.
Well, yes, that's true. The entire Myst franchise is getting re-released on the PC later this year. Apparently, there were some rights problems that Cyan...
I had heard about something about that, about some rights issues going around.
Yeah, but apparently they finally got back the rights to all the Myst games. They're going to be putting them all out on the PC, and then there's a potential that there might be some new Myst stuff coming down the pipeline. So if you're into Myst, hey, good news for you. If you're into Days Gone, bad news for you.
Oh, no.
Days Gone, the generic zombie shooter that we've seen literally 2 videos about, is not going to come out until 2019 instead of 2018.
The days have gone to 2019.
Yep. I don't know. I think the Days Gone looks interesting, but I think that sometimes the amount of hype surrounding it is a little much. Where I'm just like, it looks all right, but like, I don't know.
I'm kind of. I haven't been like that.
You don't care.
I don't care. It's zombies. I don't care.
Yep.
Like it's zombies. Like as soon as you're like, oh, it's a zombie game, it's like, you lost me. I'm kind of at a point where I don't care about like if you're gonna give me a zombie game, give me something that's interesting. And I mean, obviously, it's not zombies or
sure.
it's this weird whatever it is, but they're zombies.
Yeah.
But give me something interesting, or let me have fun with it. Like that's why I like games like Stubbs the Zombie and things like that, where where you have fun with, or Plants vs Zombies, where you have.
You don't think the giant horde concept kind of is something interesting or new with the no?
I mean, I guess it's just it's not enough for the story. I mean, I don't.
Well, we have very little about the story, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sure we'll see it at E3 this year. I'm sure there'll be some kind of trailer for it. And last but not least, this is not an official thing, but it is kind of cool. I don't know if you saw this, John.
Oh yeah. Some guy
basically made like an what do they call this? AR fighting game where basically you look through your phone's camera, you can see little Kens and Ryus like on the street, and then kind of have a fight with other people. This is totally not like Capcom, and it's super slow and janky looking. But it's kind of an interesting concept. Like I kind of like the idea. I kind of like the way it looks. Although at the end there is a whole thing where after Ken gets knocked down, the person with the camera like walks or with their phone walks up to where this digital Ken is laying on the ground, and seeing the Street Fighter models up close in what looks like real life is kind of horrifying.
The only thing that would have been really cool, is if like he wins the fight and like Ryu's like and then he walks up to him and then takes a selfie. With Ryu.
Yeah,
like that'd be awesome.
I don't know. I think it would be pretty cool if they could pull it off. I mean, obviously this is super super rough, but the Jurassic Park is having another AR.
Ghostbusters is doing one.
Yeah, so I guess everybody's kind of trying to cash in on that. We'll see.
But this was just some guy doing it because he wanted to do it.
Yeah,
like this wasn't like he's not affiliated with Capcom or anything.
Well, obviously, like the animations on these characters are real rough, but it's still kind of an interesting concept. So I don't know. Take a look. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We come back. We've got some questions to answer. So as long as I don't cough myself into a coma.
At the very least, I'll be back.
Yeah, John will just take over, and then I can just be just asleep over here. Yeah. So, see you in a minute. And we're back.
Yes.
And it's time for questions. Mail@airstate.com is the email address. I'm going to apologize. I have to put a cough drop in. I'm going to try not to let it click into the mic all that much. But it's the only way I can keep from coughing. And our first question this week comes in from Septum Sin. He says, greetings, Rage Select Heroes, Jeff and John. I know that Rockstar has been doubling down on their multiplayer with the success they have had with microtransactions they've seen in Grand Theft Auto 5 to the point where they have discontinued any single-player content in favor of keeping up the multiplayer content. This concerns me with the upcoming Red Dead 2. Do you think they'll pull an EA and create a lackluster single-player campaign with a majority multiplayer world reliant on microtransactions? I hope that I'm wrong, but I can't help but wonder if this is how things are going to go with Rockstar given their recent indications. Your loyal patron, this is Brandon F. Actually, I'll use Septum Sin as there are many of us Brandons listening to your stuff. And then he says, P.S., just out of curiosity, I utilize your channel as the primary one that I watch when it comes to Let's Plays, usually only utilizing one other, and I was curious as to why the game volume is so soft compared to the voice volume. I've seen it pulled off by others where the game volume is not this way. This is by design. I must admit, it can be preferable when it comes to dating sim games that usually have me laughing quite a bit. Looking forward to more great content, and that's from Septum Sin. I'll answer that. That's just been the way that I've done it for a long time, and I usually tend to tune the game audio to the point where it's significantly lower than the voice volume, just because I don't want, like the gun noise in, say, Devil May Cry to be so loud that it's hard to discern what we're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I there's a part of me that wonders. So, not to get too technical, but Adobe Premiere actually doesn't have very good audio tools in it. What you're probably asking about is what they call gating, where essentially you'll take the game audio and then have it so that if you stop talking, it like brings the game audio up, and then it dynamically brings it back down when the talking starts, so that it doesn't interfere and you can hear it. Unfortunately, Adobe Premiere doesn't actually have a function to be able to do that. So,
or if it does, you just don't know about it.
Oh no, I've looked for it.
Okay.
I'm really familiar.
By the way, I'm not saying that to be a dick or to be like, just don't go look for it. I'm just saying, or if it does, you haven't been able to figure it out.
Yes. So like a lot of
I'm more saying that as a catch-all, so that someone online doesn't go, Jeff, you're a moron because if you do this, 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 and this, which I'm sure you would love if someone told you that.
If somebody told me that, I would love it. Because as near as I can tell, the only way to do that, I haven't looked at it yet, but
probably have to manually do it.
No, I think that there's probably a way to do it, but you'd have to do it either in audio software. I use SoundForge to record with, but I think that Adobe Creative Suite comes with their sound program called Audition.
Oh,
and I bet there's probably, I just need to figure out whether there's a way to dynamically link that into Audition.
There probably is.
There might be a way. I've actually been thinking about trying to do that recently, especially with you and I. All the Souls games that we've played on Patreon, like whenever the people start talking, right, it's just lower, right? So it's just we shut up and then you can kind of hear them softly talking. The only problem with that is that, like, you're talking about when you bring a video clip into Premiere, the video and the audio are connected, right? So the game audio is connected to the game video, and then you put our commentary, we do little switches at the front, and sync it up on both sides, trim it, adjust the volume, bada bing, you're done. I think what you'd have to do then at that point is dump those two audio tracks back into Audition and then see if it can dynamically link to do a gating program, which could be a little bit of a pain in the ass because the main thing is that, like, I could take the game audio and export it separately and then try to synchronize the game and our commentary via audio cues, but that's really difficult. I don't know. The end answer is just that, like, it's a lot easier to do it the way that we're doing it. I know that some people have complained in the past, and I try to keep the game audio hearable. Like, I try not to let it go too low. The problem is that a lot of games also get real loud in some places and then real soft. So I kind of have to tune it for the loudest part of the game audio so it doesn't just blast out what we do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if anybody has any suggestions in the comments, I'd be more than happy to take them into consideration. It's just not been a thing that I've been able to really figure out.
I get you.
So, as for the other question, I don't know, John, what do you think?
So the question is, do you think they're going to skimp on the story for single player to promote an online? And the answer to that, no. Rockstar, they know they can't do that.
Yeah,
they're not going to do that. Now, will there be an online mode similar to Grand Theft Auto Online that is just going to be a Red Dead Redemption Online, where it's this open world? Online, everyone plays and there's updates and microtransactions. Yes, of course that's going to be there.
Absolutely.
But the story for the story mode, the single player story mode, they're not going to skimp on that. Rockstar, I feel like with Grand Theft Auto, because that, you got to remember, while that mode may not have been what it is now, that mode was planned from the beginning.
Yes.
And it just came late because they were still working on it. They were still working a lot of the kinks out. But it was planned from the beginning, but they went, but we can't skimp on the story for Grand Theft Auto.
I think it's also worth remembering, of course, that, Red Dead Redemption had multiplayer online. With a bunch of multiplayer DLC and, stuff to do.
Form a posse.
Yep. I think that when you look at the trailers for Red Dead 2, there so far have been so story-focused that, like, I don't know. I never really got into Grand Theft Auto 5 Online just because it seemed like by the time they started adding things that I was interested in, I wasn't interested in the base stuff by default. It's like, oh, just drive around somebody else's world and shoot them. And I'm like, I don't fucking care about that. Or like, have a race. I don't care about racing. Like, have a weird 4-player deathmatch that doesn't work all that well. And it's like,
Or drive around randomly and just kill other players.
Right. I was never really able to get hooked into it, but maybe, my hope is that if they use the lessons that they learned from GTA 5's online mode to launch a really robust, like, I don't have any I don't have any conceptual issue with Red Dead having a cool online mode. That would be cool, right?
Yeah, no.
Like Sea of Thieves, but a Western, right?
Yeah.
You know, get together, do some stuff, especially if they have dynamic events. But I'm with you where I don't think Rockstar is stupid enough to skimp on the single player story, because they have to know that that's a huge draw for a lot of people.
That's the big reason people want it,
right? Well, sort of. I mean, the fact is that, you know, at this point, the reason that Grand Theft Auto 5 still is being played is mostly because of the online.
Totally.
But
that's still why that game is. If you go to the store, even if you were to go buy it used in the store, it's like $49.99 instead of $59.99.
Yeah,
like that's insane. The only games that do that are Grand Theft Auto and first-party Nintendo titles.
Some Call of Duty. Call of Duty doesn't tend to drop in price as fast as a lot of other games.
Yeah, well,
do.
I'm talking about like after years over time. Like if you actually look at what games tend to hold on to their value, first-party Nintendo titles, specifically Mario and Zelda and I think Smash Brothers, those type of games, and then Grand Theft Auto 5. Like it's still. Like even the Xbox 360 version, if you go find it used, it's still $49.99. And
you know, I understand why people would be a little nervous about Red Dead 2, especially with Strauss Zelnick talking about how like all their games going forward are going to have some kind of online microtransaction kind of stuff in it. But I think the thing that I would remember, or that I would attempt to remember, is that even though I find it intensely disappointing that Grand Theft Auto 5 didn't have any single player DLC, because the DLC for Grand Theft Auto 4 was fucking great.
Yeah.
And the DLC for Red Dead, Undead Nightmare, was fucking great. And that, like, taking away those fucking great DLCs in order to have more of the online mode, that's a little bit of a bummer. But the single-player campaign for Grand Theft Auto 5 is still fucking great. It's still really wonderful. I mean, I know that you didn't, you know,
but I've said that even though I can't stand the character of Trevor to the point of that I can't play the game, I still recognize it's a great game. And it's a fully realized, like it's a full, like you can't say that wasn't a $50 game before the online mode came out.
Absolutely.
That was like, even I was like, that's a $60 game. That's maybe if they even want to charge me $70, I might even still be, you know, willing to play it. You pay that.
Yep. I mean, the campaign was huge. You know, they had the heist stuff that was really fun.
Yeah.
The characters were really good. The ending kind of fell down a little bit. I felt like the ending was just kind of like, oh, well, I guess we just have to kill everybody now.
I kind of feel like all the endings for Grand Theft Auto are kind of...
See, I disagree. And it's mostly because I think that Rockstar games traditionally have very, very good endings, and I think that Grand Theft Auto 5 is the weakest. So if you go back through the catalog, GTA 4 had that thing that I never feel like gets enough credit, where GTA 4 asks you, who's your favorite character? Do you like Roman or do you like the lady? I can't remember more. And then whichever one you say you like more, the game kills them off and then has that big kind of revenge at the Statue of Liberty thing at the very end, which I thought was very good. Red Dead Redemption, one of the best endings of all time.
When I say typically Grand Theft, I'm not talking about Red Dead Redemption. Red Dead Redemption is a fucking awesome ending.
But even outside of that, I mean, Grand Theft Auto 3, at least, I don't remember. I do remember... What the ending of original GTA 3 is, there's that really mouthy woman who's like the mob boss's daughter or whatever, and at the very end, the main character just shoots her and then walks off into the sunset or whatever. I do, though, remember that the end of Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was great, because that was kind of the whole CJ versus Tenpenny dynamic that kind of came to a head. Even L.A. Noire, I mean, you know, is flawed as... I think that
I don't consider that a Grand Theft Auto game either.
Well, yeah. I guess I'm just looking through Rockstar's past. I feel like they've had strong stories, in strong endings to a lot of their stories, and the GTA 5 kind of went, you know, considering the whole Michael and Trevor and you know, all those different kind of dynamics that were happening, that they could have done something a little bit better. But anyway, I still think that the way that I come down to it is one of Jeff's normal... we'll call it a Jeffism, right? Rockstar ain't done me all that wrong over the years.
Yeah.
I got more than $60 out of enjoyment out of Grand Theft Auto 5.
Shit, I still play the original Red Dead on my Xbox.
Yep.
On my Xbox One, because it's backwards compatible.
Yep.
Like, I bought that game a second time, so I didn't have to actually insert the disc.
Yep.
I was like, no, fuck it, I'll buy it again. I'll buy it digitally, so I don't have to insert a disc into the console every time. I can just fucking that game. It's great.
Mm-hmm. There hasn't been a Grand Theft Auto game. I mean, some of the other Rockstar, table tennis, Manhunt, like some of the stuff that they put out isn't really my cup of tea, but Grand Theft Auto has been solid. Red Dead 1 and Undead Nightmare are fucking fantastic games. I'm willing to give them enough rope to hang themselves with Red Dead 2. I'm willing to get excited and then be let down as opposed to pretty much everything else where I'm just like, I don't know, and then it's bad, and I'm just like, okay. Anyway, I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out this year. So this next question comes in from the Unknown Ronin, who says, Dear Rage Select, do any of you ever go back and rewatch a trailer for a movie, video game, or TV show, even though the thing in question may have been out for a while? I myself go back and rewatch the trailer for the Transformers Fall of Cybertron video game every few months, since I feel that it's such a good trailer, despite the game itself being out for 6 years now. As you can see the trailer in this link. Anyway, thanks for reading my question. Keep up the great work. Sincerely, the Unknown Ronin. What do you say, John? Do you go back and watch old trailers for stuff? Is there anything in particular that you can think of?
I don't really go back and watch like, oh man, this trailer was so good, I'm going to rewatch it. You know, I don't really do that, but I will be like, oh man, what was going on in that like one game specifically, and I'll go look at a trailer to remember what the story, to kind of give a quick reminder of what the story was.
Okay.
Which this trailer's great.
I don't even really remember this trailer all that much.
But I'll, especially for older movies that I can't quite remember, I'm like, yeah, that title sounds familiar. Let's go look at the trailer to see if I remember that movie or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll admit I don't really go back. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing that though.
Oh, see, I do it all the time. And specifically I do it with, as a good tie back, Rockstar has, like the My Name is John Marsden Red Dead trailer.
Yeah.
I'll go back and watch that like 5 or 6 times a year. Hell, even the LA Noire announcement trailer, like the Get Up Ladies trailer for GTA 4, or the trailers for the DLCs for The Lost and the Damned and Ballad of Gay Tony are both like incredible. They cut such wonderful trailers for those games that I'll go back and watch them. Just kind of constantly. I also really, 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 really like the trailer for the Old Hunters for Bloodborne. It uses the Ludwig theme, and it's like, kind of got the little poem that they read when they send you into the thing, and it's just cut really well. It's very swelling and dramatic, and I really like that. I also found myself going back and watching the Thor Ragnarok opening teaser, the one with the Led Zeppelin in it, kind of over and over again. Because when there's a trailer out there for something that's really, really good, I will get a little stuck on it. I do find it strange, though, that Metal Gear has never really had no, actually, you know what? That's not true. When Metal Gear Snake Eater was getting ready to come out, I must have watched, there was a little trailer that was showing Snake kind of going around this patrol of guys and dropping bees on them and grabbing them and stuff.
Yeah, I remember that.
I watched that trailer so many times. But that was mostly just because when there was a Metal Gear game on the horizon, I was just like, gotta watch this trailer again, which has fallen off a little bit. But I still think that Rockstar, Blizzard has really good trailers.
Yeah, no, I will say I have rewatched a lot of Blizzard's trailers, and not just their story trailers for Overwatch or whatever, which I do watch a lot as well, but
those
their actual trailers.
Yeah,
the what was it? Warcraft Burning Crusade, or it was one of the World of Warcraft expansions where it was Illidan just repeating "You are not prepared" over and over again in the trailer. Such a fucking good trailer.
I thought the one was the one where they introduced the Pandarans.
Yeah,
that was a really good one as well. I've always had a lot of respect for Blizzard's ability to tell a story in a 5-minute trailer, or especially with those Overwatch shorts of just I've got more emotional gut punches out of a lot of those Overwatch shorts than I have in a full fucking 2.5-hour movies that I've watched.
Yeah.
And it's I think it just goes to show that you don't need to have, 8 movies and in-depth backstory in order to tell a good story. You could tell, and even when you go back and a lot of those Overwatch shorts are exciting, but the May one at Echo Point, whatever, that one was real kind of gut wrenching too. That one didn't even really have any action in it. It was just kind of a very quiet little story. When are they going to put out another one of those? What was the last one? Was it?
It was
Reinhardt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that upsets me about that is that I feel that the Soldier 76 one, he's my favorite, and that one was like, it was pretty good, but it wasn't exactly like, it
wasn't what you wanted.
I wanted a little bit more out of it than just basically Soldier 76 shooting a butt. Well, the other problem is that those trailers, nobody gets killed in those trailers, and so it's like Soldier 76 is like a gun, and and he's just butt stocking people and shooting guns out of people's hands, and I'm just like, oh, okay, all right. Which kind of sucks because I feel like Soldier 76 has a very tragic backstory, and he's a very interesting character that they could have done a little bit more with, but whatever. But the answer, Unknown Ronin, is yes, I do go back and watch trailers quite a bit. I'm trying to think if there's any others that... Square Enix used to be real high up on the trailer parade because they did such good cutscenes, but recently, not as much. Anywho. Hannibal Montana writes in and says, Dear Supreme Leader Jeff and John, I have been playing through Resident Evil 4 for the first time. Ooh, you lucky dog. The combat is tense in almost every encounter, and the pacing is superb. But my favorite aspect is every time the game tries to act cool and give Leon an action movie one-liner. It almost always comes out goofy or lame, but has just the right amount of adorable camp and charm. In a way, it reminded me a lot of the dialogue and moments in the Metal Gear games. What are some of your favorite campy video games? Not stuff like Far Cry 3, Blood Dragon, or Deadpool that try to do it intentionally, but games that go for a specific tone but then end up endearingly silly. Thanks, Hannibal Montana.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yeah. I can say...
I mean, I really like the original dialogue for the first Resident Evil. The original...
Oh, you were almost a Jill sandwich. Yeah.
Here, take this. You are the master of lockpicking after all.
The master of unlocking.
Yeah, the master of unlocking.
I don't think... I think that it's pretty easy to throw up. Bayonetta is charmingly campy, as is Devil May Cry. The Japanese Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry,
I understand. When that whole thing came up again this week as Matt was recording that Devil May Cry, and I was standing outside the door, and I poked my head, and when he started talking about DMC, it was just like, you shouldn't be doing this. You should shut up now, Matt. Just don't. You're entering a world of pain, Matt.
Yeah, I know he said that. He was like, yeah, Jeff just popped in and said, stop talking about it. So
I mean, you do what you want. I'm just warning you. And then I got shit in the comment section, even though I wasn't even on the video. It's like this huge diatribe that ended with and that's why it makes me so mad when Jeff blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, I didn't even say anything. I was coughing my ass off. I don't know. What else do you think? It can't be. I mean, not to keep harping on a theme, but Undead Nightmares kind of campy and fun in that way.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of the charm of Eternal Darkness is it's a little campy.
Yeah.
It can be a little campy with the way that game plays.
Suda 51 is pretty good at that too.
Yeah,
kind of campy, ultra serious,
no
but
more
also
heroes. And
I was actually thinking more of Shadows of Darkness.
Oh,
is
okay.
that what was the name of that one with the
Deadly Premonition?
No. The one with the guy with the skull gun would check out to my big boner.
Oh yeah. I forget what that one's called, but yeah.
I feel like Japan does tongue-in-cheek campiness maybe a little bit better than the U.S. does, because the U.S. is always just kind of like,
Yeah, I mean, I even think the original Dead Rising has some nice camp to it.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think Japan, whether it's a intentional thing on Japan's part or if it's a translation campy,
right. Mm-hmm.
I do feel like, because I feel like sometimes the translation, something that wasn't supposed to be campy comes off a little bit campy when we get it translated. But then also I feel like there are times where it's like, no, it's supposed to be campy. Yeah. Like if you there are the people that I don't even know. I'm not even saying anything specific. but I'm sure there's people that are like, oh, it's not supposed to be campy if you know it in the regular Japanese. And then people who actually understand Japanese are like, no, it's supposed to be campy. That they actually got that spot on.
Yeah.
Dante's a dork.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just he is a dork.
Yeah.
In the original Devil May Cry games. But yeah, so But yeah, so I feel like in the U.S. we kind of want to be taken seriously, so they're not. I feel like American studios are afraid to go campy.
Yeah.
Unless that's specifically what they're like trying to invoke.
And then I feel like a lot of cases when they do that then they can't help but wink at the camera.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, as much as I don't want this to just be a whole thing about DMC, I do understand why people who are fans of Devil May Cry are upset with that one scene where the mop hits him and then he goes, never in a million years. It like throws it away because that's like, oh, I get it, but then they acknowledge that's like that. It takes you out of it. Like for my money, camp works best when
it's not winking at you,
when they're not in on the joke, when the game is playing it seriously. Oh. Fucking Command and Conquer Red Alert.
Yeah, totally.
Is the cutscenes in 3. George Takei is the leader of the Japanese faction in Red Alert 3. Like
Red Alert's fucking great.
Oh,
because
man.
The actors played it like so camp is best, like you said. It's when the world may be silly, but the
people in
characters
it are taking it seriously.
That's normal for them.
Yes.
Like that. It's not that it's silly. It's silly to you, the viewer, but it's not silly to the people in the movie or in the game.
Yeah.
Because that's just the way their world is.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And when you get actors who that clicks and they play it that way, I mean, that's part of why the Muppets are so great. When they do like Muppet Christmas Carol, it's played straight, but there are jokes in it.
Yeah. I definitely feel like Deadly Premonition falls into that category.
Yeah, Deadly Premonition totally falls in that category because I fucking love it for that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that just like comes to mind. I don't know. There's some other stuff in here that I would probably put into different types of categories. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's probably enough. Anything else come to mind for you, John?
No.
I was looking through Google image search
Binary
here.
Domain?
Binary Domain? Maybe?
I mean, it's not really campy, but...
Yeah, I guess the thing is that I don't feel like Binary Domain is ever really funny. It's kind of just like pulpy almost.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. I enjoy a game, that doesn't take itself too seriously. In fact, you said Far Cry Blood Dragon, you said to take that out, but I think Blood Dragon's a great example of everybody in that game is taking that game seriously. Like the characters in that game aren't. It's not like Duke Nukem saying that's one doomed space marine. Like the characters in Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon are essentially seriously doing the things that they're doing in Blood Dragon. It's just that what they're doing is ridiculous. So
yeah.
I'd probably put that in. But Resident Evil 4 actually, though, really does kind of stack up there. In fact, it's one of the things that a lot of people will point to as being one of the best or one of the reasons why Resident Evil 4 works so well and Resident Evil 5 doesn't is because Resident Evil 5 just gets
super serious.
Very serious, yeah. And that all of that kind of Leon is a dork stuff is kind of gone. Yeah. In fact, I would even argue it's one of the reasons that I don't like Nero in DMC 4 is because he's very self-serious, just serious. And it's kind of like, Anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, that's also going back to camp. I mean, that's also in the Resident Evil series. Like, that's kind of one of the things that I'm glad that there is like with Resident Evil 7. While it's not there as prevalent, there is a level of camp to it, but it's mostly with the villains.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's also why everyone makes the joke about the fact that Chris Redfield, shoulder checks a boulder,
right?
Because it's fucking campy and stupid as shit, but it's fucking hilarious.
It is. Which is one of the but it's strange because that's in Resident Evil 5, but then the rest of Resident Evil 5 is so fucking serious that you're like, what? And then it's like, what, Lava T-Rex Wesker comes out, you're just like, what?
Yeah, it feels like it's from a different game.
Right, yeah.
But that's also why it's so memorable, is because it's out of such a kind of a game that...
It's not Lava T-Rex. The T-Rex was in 6. You fight on the volcano, and Wesker's just jumping around being a superhero or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, Drew writes in...
merged together for me.
Yeah. Drew writes in and says, Dearest Jeff and Harmonious John, I guess. I work, study, and drive a lot, so I haven't had a chance to read a physical book in a while, but I often listen to audiobooks while otherwise engaged. And what really makes or breaks an audiobook is the narrator. Kenneth Branagh reading Murder on the Orient Express was great. Fisher Stevens reading Secondhand Souls, not so much. Fisher Stevens did a audiobook? Okay. But my favorites feature the authors, such as Stephen King reading 1408 or Neil Gaiman performing Neverwhere. What do you think makes a good audio book, and do you have any favorites? Also, after watching your dojo of Super Seducer, I would request all of your transitions to become, speaking of squirrels, your devoted acolyte, Drew. John, you don't really listen to audio books?
I haven't in a while. I haven't in a long while. Like,
all right.
It's something that I've kind of been debating on whether to get back into because, like, it's kind of turned into my podcast listening is kind of turned into like narrative driven stuff, like either people talking about the history of something,
right?
Or actual narrative podcasts, which has kind of made me kind of want to delve back into audiobooks.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things where it's something I'm debating.
Okay.
But I mean, I totally understand that audiobooks can the wrong narrator can totally ruin. Like back in high school, like I used to be like back in middle school and high school, I used to be huge into Stargate, like the movie. Yeah. Like this is before SG-1. I was huge into Stargate. Just fucking loved everything about that fucking movie. Just obsessed with it. Found out they had books, and I was like, "Oh shit, they got books that continue the story of the movie. Let's fucking read those." And I couldn't find one of the books, the first volume of this new series, but they found the audiobook for it.
Okay,
and I was like, "Oh, I'll just fucking buy the audiobook and listen to that."
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit, was that the worst goddamn experience I've ever had, because the guy couldn't pronounce anybody's name correctly.
Oh, interesting.
Like names that were spoken in the goddamn movies. Like he never pronounced any of the names correctly. Also, he would try to do voices, but he's bad at it. Like I don't remember who the guy was but he was like terrible at it. Like he would try to do like falsetto for the females, and it's just like, dude, stop.
Yeah.
Fucking stop.
Just read the book.
Just read the fucking book.
Yeah.
Just don't. Because his voices were terrible. And then but it was just the worst experience. It put me off audiobooks for a very long time.
Okay.
I do remember a long time ago there was like an audiobook for The Mist.
Okay.
It was like right when CD players were kind of becoming a thing, and surround sound systems in the home. And it was like a CD. It was like, oh, it's a CD audiobook that specifically, it literally was just a radio play, but it was like, it has 3D sound in it. So if you have a surround sound system, and I remember my mom buying it and listening to it. Actually, it was really good.
Oh, okay.
But it was just an audiobook, and I think they actually had like different people playing
the different parts.
So it was done more like a radio play instead of an actual book. But,
okay.
But it's been a long time since I've actually listened to an audiobook. But yeah, I totally can understand that the narrator can totally make it or break it.
This is one of those weird things. I don't like audiobooks. I'd like to say that if you listen to audiobooks, I totally understand. Like, you ain't got time for that. Reading, like, driving to work, you want to listen to something, you listen to an audiobook, that's fine. The way that I come down on it is just that the person reading the audiobook is necessarily going to put a certain amount of inflection about certain characters or dialogue or whatever. They're essentially influencing your conception of the story, whether you really want them to or not, unless it was just Siri reading.
That's actually why I'm actually okay with authors reading, like especially authors like Neil Gaiman and Stephen King, who clearly understand, like, also the performance of what they're doing.
I also have a bad habit when I'm listening to stuff, because I tend to listen to podcasts when I walk my dog, when I'm driving somewhere or whatever, of spacing out a little bit. And for the books that I get, I want to just read them. Also, a lot of the books that I get are too small to really have an audiobook component to them. So I generally just tend to read them. So I don't actually do very much in the realm of audiobooks. But what I will say is that actually just recently I started listening to this podcast, and it is called the H.P. Lovecraft Literary Podcast. And they're basically just like going over a lot of H.P. Lovecraft stuff. I'm actually listening to it because in Demon Souls, there is a boss that makes a certain reference to the short story collection, The King in Yellow, and after these guys got done doing all the H.P. Lovecraft stuff, they started just doing other horror things. And so they did a series about a lot of the King in Yellow short stories. And they usually have somebody that comes in and just reads portions, but they get guests to come in and do it who are good at it. I also listened to their episode for The Color Out of Space, and they had the kind of same thing there. So I found that to be enjoyable. But generally speaking, when it comes to a long-form narrative, I prefer the voice in my own head when I'm reading it, as opposed to listening to somebody else read the book out loud to me. It's just preferable to me. Also, I feel like when you're reading a book, you can stop, you can back up, you can reread, you can, say, wait, who was that? And tab back a page and then go forward. So I generally don't tend to do audiobooks, but I certainly don't. I'm not like not begrudging anybody who does.
Yeah.
I'm not just like, you should experience the book the way it was meant to, or anything like that. So yeah. Anything else?
I mean, if you're looking for like a podcast suggestion that's not necessarily an audio book type thing, but is very much a narrative, like it's actually interesting because the guy actually turns his podcasts into ebooks.
Okay.
That he sells on eBay or on Amazon and stuff. Secret History of Hollywood.
Okay.
Can't fucking recommend it enough because it's so good. Like he has a section like he does stories. Like it's like right now he has a series called Shadows, which is telling the story of Val Lewton, who is a writer producer for RKO.
Okay.
Who is responsible for a lot of horror movies that were the antithesis of what Universal was doing.
Okay.
Like where Universal was doing very kitschy monsters. He was doing stuff like Cat People and The Leopard Man and they're really good movies. And like that's what he's doing the story right now. But like previously he did the story of Warner Brothers, which is really fucking good. And then like in the past he's done stuff which unfortunately because he took a lot of it down because it takes up so much space. And those episodes he tended in the old days he would do there would be podcasts that were like 8 hours long.
Wow.
And then all that stuff would get turned into ebooks at some point. But yeah, totally. The fucking Secret History of Hollywood. It's fucking great. Check it out.
Okay. Cool. David writes in and says, "Hello, Jeff and John. MMORPGs have been my only video game consumption for the last decade. World of Warcraft, Star Wars: The Old Republic, Terra, and Elder Scrolls Online all have been a part of my Steam as I have poured down countless days of game time into them. With that being said, I am very disappointed that since 2014, when Elder Scrolls came out, I have not been able to find myself a new MMORPG that allows me to delve into the world as much as these games have. With that being said, are there any MMORPGs that you are excited about in the next year? Have you heard of Ashes of Creation and what is needed for MMOs to kickstart once again after years of drought? Thanks, David." John?
I really can't answer this question because I want to like MMOs.
Yeah.
Early in the MMO career, I played a shit ton of MMOs, but would burn out on them very quickly. Like I played Lineage 2, I played Dark Age of Camelot, I played City of Heroes. I really wanted to play. I played World of Warcraft. Hell, I worked for Blizzard and played World of Warcraft because I was their phone support,
right?
Their phone, email, and chat support. I was not a GM in game, but I did their stuff there, and I played World of Warcraft during that time frame. I really want to like those games, but I get bored of the grind very quickly.
Yeah,
and literally, I'll play those games. I would play them for 4 or 5 months, and then I would stop. And sometimes in the case of City of Heroes or World of Warcraft, I had a lot of friends that played those games, so that would keep me a little bit longer. But I would still, even with my friendship with those games and those friends being like, let's play it, and it'd be like, oh, I haven't played it in 4 months. Yeah, sure, let's play. And then they'd be like, oh, your character's really low compared to us now.
Right. Because
we've been playing it religiously and you've stopped playing for 3 weeks. It's... So I am the wrong guy to ask for that because I know I am not an MMO person.
Yeah.
I don't have the wherewithal to continue playing an MMO. That's why I don't like Destiny.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like fucking The Division. I don't play Grand Theft Auto Online because the elements of it. That's why I really didn't like the game Kingdoms of Amalur, because it was too much like a single player MMO.
Yeah,
and like I just couldn't do it. I just something in my brain switches off once I hit that weird MMO grind that just goes, you know what? Not for me.
Well, you can play Anarchy. They put Anarchy Online back out on Steam.
So I haven't literally played an MMO in probably like 5-6 years. And even then, it was only World of Warcraft because I had to for my job.
Right.
And I want to say, if not counting World of Warcraft, I haven't played an MMO in like maybe 15 years.
I am in the same boat, mostly because I'm not I'm a game polygamist. I'm not a monogamous gamer. I don't like to just be playing one game. I like to play, Overwatch and Hitman and Bloodborne and fucking whatever came out this week, and Sea of Thieves coming out. I want to play that for a few weeks, and then I want to play Far Cry 5 when it comes out. Like, I don't want to be playing the same game over and over. It's one of the reasons that I don't like Destiny, is because exactly what you said. I'm not willing to just sit down and shove all the time in the world in Destiny. I'd rather shove that time into Overwatch, because at least I feel like I can get something done in 5 or 10 minutes playing a few rounds of Overwatch.
Yeah. Like, I'll even go even more recent. Monster Hunter. Like, Monster Hunter World. Like, I kind of haven't played it in a couple weeks, and I'm kind of like, that one I kind of like was like, I started getting to the point, like I started playing it really religiously at first, and then after a few weeks it was like, no.
You kind of see where it's going, and then you're like, yeah. Well, but what I can say, David, is while that doesn't really work for me, what the things that you listed, World of Warcraft, Star Wars: The Old Republic, Terra, and Elder Scrolls Online, I do have some suggestions, though. Final Fantasy XIV is a really good MMO. It's got nice graphics. It's not too expensive. They've got a bunch of expansions that have come out for it. It's got a pretty good narrative structure. It's got a lot of kind of conveniences in it, and it does work very well. I actually played it for about 8 to 10 hours, because your character kind of has a single-player progression, and you get out into the world, you go into these different places. So that's one to give a shot. Also, I've heard some good stuff about Dungeons & Dragons Online, which I know they've had a couple of expansions for, and it's on a few different things. We played WildStar, which I believe is free to play, at least to start with, which has a kind of a little bit more cartoony look to it. And then I always wanted to get into Star Trek Online, but I just could never really get past it. Just the other problem with MMOs in an area like that, like Elder Scrolls, right? Like, I played a bunch of Elder Scrolls, or I played Skyrim. And it's weird when you walk into a town in Elder Scrolls Online, there's people bunny hopping around, and they got their armor's all fucked up, and they're just like dancing and doing their thing. It kind of, to me, breaks the immersion a little bit. But there are a shitload of, if you have a PC, of free-to-play games on Steam. Black Desert Online, that was one that came out not too long ago. I think that was at the top of the actual list on...
Well, what was the game? It's not just on. It's actually on consoles and on PC as well. What was it? Warframe? Would you consider that an MMO?
That depends. There's common areas where you can interact with other people, but generally the action in that game is instanced. So it's like you can bring 3 or 4 other people with you.
Okay, so it's very much a. Oh my god! I just blanked on the game. Never mind.
Guild Wars.
Guild Wars, thank you.
Yeah.
Very much like Guild Wars.
Yeah, but you might try Warframe out, because a lot of these MMOs now are free. You can download Warframe. I think Warframe is great. I love playing Warframe. But, Black Desert Online, Final Fantasy XIV, Warframe, maybe Star Trek. I feel like there's still stuff out there. The second part of your question, I feel like, is unfortunately going to have a little bit more pessimistic of an answer, which is... what is needed for MMOs to kickstart once again after years of drought? I don't know that that's going to be a thing that happens. I don't know if MMOs are. I don't know if there's a scenario where MMOs come back. Because the main thing with MMOs is that you have to convince people that there's a reason to pay a monthly fee, and you have to put roadblocks up to discourage people from just tearing all your content.
I'm going to be honest. I think the thing that would bring MMOs back, and the reason it won't work is because it'll never happen at the level it happened on PC. Is get a good MMO on a console. Yeah, and I understand Final Fantasy's on console.
And DC Online, Warframe. I mean,
yeah, I played DC Online, but yeah, it's just I mean, it's just I don't know. Like you have to get one that just I don't know
that works. You would need something. You would need somebody.
I feel like there needs something to be like the problem with DCU Online is yes, it was designed for consoles in like it was designed for consoles and stuff like that. Like I played that when it came out, and but I feel like it's just I don't know. Like there was always a disconnect. Like it still felt like this is a PC game on a console.
I feel like you would need something like you would need Blizzard to make a console specific RPG that was not a port of a PC RPG onto the consoles, but something from the ground up that you could play. That was designed to be played on a console.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know. Good luck, David. Let's see.
Sorry.
Ryan writes in and says, Dear Fabulous Jeff and Fabulous John. All right, this letter is a direct result of some salt I feel towards one of my favorite games in recent memory, PUBG. With its recent popularity overseas, it has seen a huge swath of new players. This has introduced a brand new problem to the community. Large numbers of cheaters have been flooding the servers and have ruined 3 of my games just today. According to the devs themselves, 99% of cheaters come from China. Players of the game have cried out and asked that China be region locked in order to keep the cheater problem contained by and large, but the devs have flat out refused and said that they would do no such thing. My question is it really xenophobic to exclude or contain a country if they're the ones causing a lion's share of the problem? Am I being too complaining to think that without China the game would be in a far healthier state overall? Thanks for reading, Ryan.
That's a having come from a company that speaking of MMOs, a company that had cheaters coming from a very specific bots and
gold farming and
all that stuff rampant. A lot of it came from China. That's a can of worms. And there's no easy answer. You may think there's an easy answer. But there's a lot of aspects you got to really think about that. And I'm not, and unfortunately, a lot of that's way above my head. But there's a lot of aspects to it that you can't.
I think that battling cheaters is in any online game you're always going to be battling cheaters. I think that it's probably like the thing, Ryan. Without touching on, okay, look, you could ban China or put China in their own servers, right? The thing is that I think it's more useful to attempt to fix the ways that people are cheating than it is to just cordon them off, because that still means you can get cheaters from other areas. Besides...
And then what? Then they come out and go, okay, well, we sectioned off China, and now people are complaining about cheaters. Well, looking at the predominant of those come from, California. Like, I'm just saying, like, we found that most of the people who are cheating now are in California. Also, do you then go, let's sector off California from the rest of the U.S.?
Well, also, I mean, you look at, there are ways around even an IP ban with, like, VPNs and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah,
so,
totally.
People who are determined to cheat, I feel like it's better to figure out how they're cheating and stop that cheating than it is to just cordon off, that section. Mostly because that's going to make your game stronger, as opposed to pissing people off. Also, China's a huge goddamn market, and like, as much as I understand, Ryan, that it's nobody. I don't want to play a game online where people are cheating.
Why that one live stream where we were playing Team Fortress? And we stopped.
Yep, we just had to stop playing Team Fortress because some fucking jackasses wanted to come in there and cheat. But I don't know. I feel like the what you're running into, the fix that you're suggesting, I feel like has less merit than trying to fundamentally change the game in a way that would stop this shit from happening in the first place. I think I was going somewhere else with that, but my head is full of mucus, so I can't really remember. But yeah, I mean, as far as being xenophobic, I don't think that that's necessarily xenophobic by default, because you're just like, if there's a bunch of people coming in from one place fucking up your video game that you want to play and have fun with, I think that your knee-jerk reaction is going to be just like, fucking get them out of here. Like, get them out of here. What's the easiest way to get them the fuck out of this game so that I can have fun with the game that I paid money for? But I don't think, one, that would contain people. Cheaters and pirates and people online who do nefarious shit have shown over the years that I think that it's worth it to try to battle those sorts of behaviors, but that, quote, winning is very difficult because you can section them off and they just find a way around the thing that you just did.
And again, the reason I don't think you're being xenophobic, and I'll even say you're not stating, well, nobody from China should play this game because they're all cheaters. That's not what you're saying. You're saying predominantly the cheaters are coming from China. Statistics have shown this, so let's wall off China.
Yeah.
Which, again, there's also allegories there that I just realized popped in my head that I'm not even going to touch.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Let's jump ahead. We got a couple more questions here. Let's see. Marikas writes in once again and says, "Hey, Jeff and Amazing John. It's Marikas here again with a random question." I'd say Marikas used to not do this, but every time that they write in, phonetically spells out how to say their name. And I'm just like, good, thank you, because I forget. Because I think that you used to write in all the time, and you would just sign your name. And the one time you wrote in, you were like, this is how you say it. And then by next week, I've totally forgotten. So thank you. Random question. What are your thoughts on the game Vampire? Looks like it has potential, but it could also be a Dark sequel, the game Dark. Keep on raging, Marikas. P.S. Luigi is better than Mario. Fucking, that's garbage.
I agree with you.
Luigi's garbage.
No, Luigi's not garbage. Luigi's the best.
Luigi is garbage. What did you think about Luigi's Mansion on the 3DS last week? Yeah. Nintendo Direct. Yeah.
It's fine.
But did you see anything about Nintendo Direct last week that really stood out for you?
Smash. That's a big one.
I asked Amanda, do you think...
I thought the Solaire amiibo was pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah,
and I really thinking about it, I really, 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 really hope that the only thing it does when you try to use it in other games is it makes whoever you're playing as in those other games praise the sun. Like, it doesn't do anything else.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Like, because the line of it, you can praise the sun all day long.
Yeah.
Like, I hope that it doesn't give you the praise the sun in Dark Souls. Like, obviously that's what it'll probably end up doing. But I feel like it should just make whatever, like, if you are playing Mario Odyssey and you hold it just makes Mario praise the sun.
I think that's great. Also, immediately sold out. The day after the podcast recording, I went to go see if I could get one.
Oh, pre-order?
Completely sold out. So, but you know what? Again, I mentioned this briefly in passing in the first half, but I have to give Nintendo credit. They said they were going to make more SNES classics. They did. I bought one. It was sitting there on a shelf. It wasn't pre-ordered and gone.
Yeah.
So,
but
anyway,
Luigi Mansion, I actually think it's great. It's a great game. I don't play my 3DS, so I can't really. But plus, I don't even think I would be able to play it because.
Do you have a 3DS?
I have a 3DS, but not the new 3DS.
Oh,
so I would probably not be able to play it.
Well, why not? You think it has
a lot of the games that have been coming out since the new 3DS came out require the new 3DS.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Anyway, Vampire. It's been a while since we've heard anything about that.
It's
I think it looks like garbage. I
think it looks like it has some interesting things.
Yeah.
I think there's some interesting elements to it. The more, like, I was really kind of interested in it when they first announced it, and I'll be honest, the more I've seen of it since then, the more my anticipation for it has dwindled.
Yes.
I still think it looks interesting, and it could be a very good game.
Yeah.
But I'm not, like, I don't know.
The last time that we saw anything about it, it just looked super goddamn yippity yap talking, like more talking and than doing anything else.
Wherever it was that we saw the last demo or whatever.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a bad demo, like video demo of just like dialogue and like it was like, why are you demoing this section? You should demo other sections of the game that are more interesting than this.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. Could be wrong. Focus, they do interesting weirdo stuff. So who knows? But yeah, I'd like to see more. I mean, like the original stuff made it look kind of like Vampire Dark Souls or Vampire Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Because you got a stamina and kind of fighting in a kind of Arkham meets, and that was kind of interesting. But then, yeah, that second demo was just like 20 minutes of yip yapping and like very little in actual doing interesting things in gameplay. So don't know. Could be bad, could be good, could be taking both. Then you have the rate select email. And
Luigi is the best though.
You know what? That's it. Because this last question I didn't read enough is basically just this person's coming into town and wants to know if they can hang out with us in April. So That's not really a question. That's just a.
Well, I mean, it's a question, not a question we can answer here.
That's correct. That is correct.
It's a question best answered, to that person directly.
Me in town the day before my birthday.
Oh,
so that's it. That's gonna be our Rage Talk podcast for this week. Wow, I feel like by the time we've gotten to the end here, my cough has cleared up a little bit. The medicine is working. So yeah. Sorry to everybody for this week, and I hope that the videos that we put out. I hope so.
I mean, it seems like people are enjoying like what they've seen so far. Like Matt and Morgan. Like I know I kind of enjoyed some of those videos. I watched a little bit of them. I thought they were a lot of fun. So hopefully, whatever other videos are coming out that don't have you on them, people enjoy those as well.
There are a couple more. Yep. Yeah. Hey man, if people want to watch Matt and his wife play video games, I'm like. I can occupy myself, but anyway, mail at ragetalk.com is the email address. Thanks everybody for writing in, and if you got a question, throw it in next week, and we will see you then.